October 25, 1944, 6:37 a.m., the Philippine Sea. Off the coast of Samar, the air is a blanket of tropical humidity, so thick you can almost drink it. Aboard the USS Fanshawe Bay, flagship of Task Unit 77.4, 3, the pre-dawn routine is underway. This is Taffy 3, one of 3 task units of escort carriers providing air cover for the invasion of Leyte Gulf. These are not the famous fleet-killing carriers of Admiral Halsey's 3rd Fleet. These are CVE's escort carriers. Their crews call them combustible, vulnerable, expendable. They are slow, unarmored ships built on merchant hulls, designed to hunt submarines or support ground troops. They are baby flat tops, and they are not supposed to be here alone. On the bridge, Rear Admiral Clifton Ziggy Sprague sips hot coffee. His world is routine. His 6 small carriers, Fanshawe Bay, St. Lo, White Plains, Kalinan Bay, Kitcon Bay, and Gambier Bay, zigzag on a calm sea, their destroyer screen fanned out. The real fight, everyone knows, is hundreds of miles north. Bull Halsey has taken his battleships and fleet carriers to chase a Japanese decoy force. The San Bernardino Strait, the backdoor to Leyte Gulf, is wide open, but no one on Taffy 3 knows it. Sound, static crackle, alarm bells, 6:43 a.m., the radio squawks. The voice is from Ensign William C. Brooks, flying a TBM Avenger on a routine anti-submarine patrol. It is strained, cracking with disbelief. Enemy surface force sighted. 4 battleships, 7 cruisers, bearing 295, distance 20 miles. Closing. On Taffy 3. On the Fanshawe Bay's bridge, the message is met with cold silence. A mistake. It must be a mistake. Those are Halsey's ships returning. Sprague orders a visual confirmation. A lookout's voice, raw with panic, cuts through the air. Ship, bearing 300, Pagoda mast. Sprague raises his own binoculars. The blood drains from his face. Emerging from a dark rain squall, it is not the familiar clean superstructure of an American Iowa class. It is the grotesque, top-heavy pagoda of an Imperial Japanese Navy battleship. Then another, and another. It is Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's center force. The Yamato, the largest battleship in the world. The Nagato, the Kongo, the Haruna. An armada of heavy cruisers. This is the main Japanese fist, the one Halsey was supposed to have annihilated. It has slipped through the strait undetected and is now bearing down on 13 American ships, 6 small carriers, 3 destroyers, and 4 tiny destroyer escorts. Music, sharp, staccato strike. On the bridge of the Yamato, there is jubilation. Through the haze, Kurita's lookouts see carriers. They mistake the slow, tiny CVs for Halsey's main fleet. This is the decisive battle. This is the moment Japan has waited for. The order is given. General attack. 6:58 a.m. 20 miles away, the horizon flashes orange. A sound follows like giant canvas being torn. Then the ocean erupts. Aboard the USS White Plains, the crew is thrown from their feet. Geysers of water hundreds of feet high leap into the air around them. The splashes are dyed bright pink, green, and orange, the range-finding dyes of the Japanese cruisers. The shells are so large they detonate on impact with the water, the concussion slamming the carrier's hull like a steel sledgehammer. The Japanese gunnery officers are, in effect, laughing. They column fire, straddling the entire formation, expecting these flimsy targets to be vaporized by near misses alone. Sprague sees his world shrinking. His carriers can make 18 knots max. Kurita's cruisers are closing at 34. They are being run down. All ships make smoke, he orders, his voice iron. He turns to his flag lieutenant. We're in a tight spot. In the carrier's ready rooms, pilots, briefed for a milk-run ground support mission, scramble. What's the load? One pilot shouts, 500-pound YP bomb, skipper. That's all we got. It'll have to do. Get us in the air, now. Sprague grabs the radio, his voice broadcast to every ship in his tiny command. He gives the only order he can. He turns his slow, precious carriers east, toward the cover of another squall, and gives the order for his protection, his screen, to do the impossible. Small boys ... intercept. 7 a.m., the Philippine Sea. Small boys ... intercept. The order is a death sentence. 3 Fletcher-class destroyers USS Johnston, USS Hoel, USS Heermann, and 4 destroyer escorts, Samuel B. Roberts, Raymond, Dennis, John C. Butler. These are the tin cans. They have no armor. They are built for speed and maneuverability, armed with 5-inch guns that are little more than pop guns against battleship plate, and a small battery of torpedoes. Aboard the USS Johnston, DD 557, her captain, Commander Ernest E. Evans, doesn't wait for the order to be repeated. He is a full-blooded Oklahoman, part Cherokee, and he has told his crew, "This is going to be a fighting ship. I will go in harm's way, and anyone who doesn't want to go along had better get off right now." No one got off. "All engines ahead flank," Evans shouts. "Engage the enemy. Left full rudder." The Johnston heels over, separating from the other destroyers. It is charging alone, a 2,100-ton ship making the suicide run at a 72,000-ton battleship. It steers directly for the Japanese heavy cruiser Kumano, the lead ship of the cruiser squadron. The Johnston is laying a thick smokescreen, but it is also a target. Shells from the Congo-class battleships begin to straddle it, the Technicolor splashes boxing it in. 7:10 a.m. Evans' gunnery officer is screaming for range. "They're still out of range. We're not hitting." "Keep closing," Evans roars. At 18,000 yards, just 10 miles, the Johnston's 5-inch guns open up. The shells spark uselessly against the Kumano's heavy belt armor. But they are an annoyance, a distraction. The Kumano and Suzuya shift their main batteries, 8-inch guns, onto the charging destroyer. The Johnston is rocked by 3 8-inch shells, followed almost instantly by 3 6-inch shells from the Yamato's secondary battery. The explosions tear through the unarmored hull. The bridge is savaged. Commander Evans is hit, his shirt torn from his body, his face and hands burned, 2 fingers ripped from his left hand. The ship's main steering is gone. The aft fire room is destroyed. The radar is a twisted wreck. She has lost power to her rear guns. She is staggering, dead in the water. But Evans, wrapping a handkerchief around his bleeding hand, stumbles to the aft steering column, the battlecon, and gives the order manually. "Fire torpedoes." 7:24 a.m. At 10,000 yards, the Johnston launches all 10 of its torpedoes. As they race toward the Kumano, the cruiser turns hard to evade. Too late. 1 torpedo and perhaps a second strikes the Kumano's bow. A plume of water, oil, and steel erupts from the Japanese cruiser. The explosion rips her bow clean off. She is knocked out of the fight, her speed cut, forced to retire. Evans, bleeding, half-blind, grins, "Small boys, follow me." He had radioed. Now the others join the fray. The USS Hoel and USS Heermann charge in. The Hoel, under Commander Leon Skintberger, makes for the lead battleship, the Congo. The destroyer is hit 40 times. Her engines are knocked out, her guns silenced one by one. But before she sinks, she launches her torpedoes, forcing the Congo to turn away, temporarily blunting its charge. The USS Heermann, avoiding a collision with the Hoel and the Samuel B. Roberts in the smoke, finds itself in an impossible position. It is on the inside of the Japanese column, bracketed by the battleships Haruna, Congo, and Nagato. Shells are passing over her, aimed at the carriers. The Heermann fires its torpedoes at the Haruna, forcing the battleship to turn so sharply it steams away from the carriers. And then comes the Samuel B. Roberts, DE 413, a destroyer escort. A D, even smaller than a destroyer, it is nicknamed the Bucket. Its captain, Lieutenant Commander Robert W. Copeland, makes an announcement over the ship's speaker. "Men," His voice is calm. We are about to go into a fight against overwhelming odds, from which survival cannot be expected. We will do what damage we can. The Roberts is armed with only 2 5-inch guns and 3 torpedoes. It charges. It closes to 4,000 yards point-blank range against the heavy cruiser Chukai. The Chokai's 8-inch guns are firing, but the little DI is so low in the water. So close the shells are screaming over its superstructure. The Roberts fires its 3 torpedoes. One hits. The Chukai shudders, its rudder damaged, its speed dropping. The Japanese admirals are baffled. They are being attacked by mosquitoes. Annoyed, the Congo finally lands a 14-inch shell on the Samuel B. Roberts. The hit rips a 40-foot hole in its port side. The little ship is breaking apart, but its men, even as it sinks, keep the remaining 5-inch gun firing until the water closes over them. In 30 minutes, the small boys have done the impossible. They have decapitated the Kumano, damaged the Chukai, and forced the Congo and Haruna to turn away from the carriers. They have bought Clifton Sprague time, but the cost is staggering. The Johnston is a wreck, the hull is sinking, the Roberts is gone, and the Yamato ... The Yamato is still coming. Meanwhile, in the air, the first planes from Taffy 3 are getting desperate. 7:16 a.m., 4,000 feet above the chaos. Lieutenant J.G. Paul B. Garrison, flying a TBM Avenger from the USS Kitcon Bay, fights the stick. His aircraft is loaded with a 500-pound general-purpose bomb firecracker against what he sees below. The entire Japanese center force is spread out like a gunnery range, its anti-aircraft batteries erupting in thousands of black, greasy puffs of flak. Below him, he can see the Johnston and hull twisting in their death throes, wreathed in smoke and shell splashes. "This is Viper lead," Garrison radios, his voice tight. "Targets of opportunity. Pick a cruiser. Go." This is the Kangaroo offensive. The CVEs were never meant for fleet action. Their magazines are stocked for anti-submarine warfare, ASW, and ground support. As the first wave of Avengers and FM-2 Wildcats lifts off, their pilots are incredulous at their loadouts. Some have only 50 caliber machine guns. Some, like Garrison, have small 500-pound bombs. Others, from the ASW patrol, are carrying 350-pound depth charges. It doesn't matter. The order from Admiral Sprague was blunt. Pilots, attack the enemy. Our situation is desperate. Sound, strafing runs, machine guns, and the whistle of falling bombs. The Japanese officers on the bridge of the Yamato and Nagato cannot believe what they are seeing. They are being attacked by aircraft, yes, but these aircraft are not behaving correctly. A Wildcat, guns blazing, makes a strafing run directly at the Yamato's massive pagoda bridge. The pilot knows his bullets won't penetrate the armor. He is trying to kill the rangefinder operators, to distract the gunners, to make the officers duck. He is a gnat stinging a giant, and the giant flinches. Then come the Avengers. Lieutenant Commander Edward J. Huxtable, leading the squadron from the Fanshawe Bay, spots the heavy cruiser Chikuma. He has depth charges. Designed to explode underwater to crush a submarine's hull, they are useless against surface armor. "We're going in," Huxtable radios. "Aim for the bow. Try to get a water impact." His pilots dive through a wall of flak. They drop their depth charges, hoping for a near-miss concussion. The charges splash harmlessly into the sea. But the Chikuma's captain is forced to maneuver, breaking his firing solution on the carriers. This is the tactic: chaos. The pilots of Taffy 3, with no central coordination, become a swarm. They attack, fly back to the carriers, or, when their decks are unusable, to the airfield at Tacloban on Lady Rearm with anything, and come back. They land and deck crews, working in a frenzy as 14-inch shells land around their ship. Slap on rockets, bombs, or just more bullets. What's the load? Rockets! We got rockets! Get 'em on! A pilot lands, his plane riddled with holes. "I'm out of ammo," he shouts to the air officer. "Get back up there. The officer screams back, "Make a dry run. Make 'em think you have ammo." And they do. Pilots with empty guns dive on Japanese cruisers, waggling their wings, forcing the ships to swerve and breaking their gunnery. Meanwhile, on the sea, the price of the tin can charge is being paid, and the carriers are next. 7:30 a.m. The Japanese cruisers have found the range. The USS Gambier Bay, the easternmost carrier, is in a death trap. She is the smallest, the slowest, and the most exposed. The heavy cruiser Chikuma, having weathered the depth charge attack, leads the Tone and Hajiro in a relentless bombardment. Music, deep, resonating booms. 8-inch armor-piercing shells begin to walk up on her. A splash, 50 yards short. A splash 20 yards astern. Then, the hits. A shell hits the flight deck forward. Another punches through the thin hull near the waterline. Water pours into her forward engine room. Her speed drops. On the bridge, Captain Walter V.R. Vugue knows he is finished. The Gambier Bay begins to lag behind the rest of Taffy 3, a wounded animal cut from the herd. The Japanese cruisers close in, pouring fire into the helpless carrier. But as the Chikuma closes for the kill, the air attacks intensify. A second wave, this one armed with 500-pound semi-armor-piercing bombs, descends. Lieutenant J.G. Richard L. Dick Roby from the St. Lo rolls into his dive. He ignores the flak. He ignores the fighters. He sees the Chikuma. His bomb releases, a direct hit after the bridge. A massive secondary explosion rocks the cruiser. Her superstructure is shredded. Another bomb from his squadron hits her torpedo mounts. The Chikuma is suddenly wreathed in fire, her speed cut, her guns falling silent. The swarm has drawn blood. The Suzuya, moving in, is also hit by bombs and is forced to fall back. But the Yamato is still there. Her 18.1-inch guns, the largest in the world, have been firing this whole time. Her gunnery officer, however, is deeply confused. His salvos, aimed at extreme range, are straddling the carriers, but the American ships are vanishing into the smoke and the rain squalls. And he is being strafed by tiny wildcats. He cannot believe the enemy's audacity. These are not the actions of a fleet in retreat. This is the action of a cornered, rabid animal. Aboard the Fanshawe Bay, Admiral Sprague watches the Gambier Bay fall back, burning. He sees the Johnston, a smoking ruin, still trying to fire its guns. His carriers are zigzagging, the sea around them a forest of colored shell splashes. 8:30 a.m. The situation is impossible. The destroyer screen is gone. The Gambier Bay is sinking. The Kalinin Bay and White Plains are taking hits. Then, a new, terrifying sound. Kamikazes. Kamikazes approaching from the north. The trap, it seems, is complete. 8:30 a.m. Aboard the USS St. Lo, the men on the anti-aircraft guns are already exhausted. Their 40mm Bofors and 20mm Oerlikons are hot, barrels smoking from firing at the swarming Avengers and Wildcats of their own air group, trying to give them cover as they land and rearm. The air is thick with cordite and the smell of burning paint. The St. Lo shudders as another 8-inch shell from the Haguro explodes just off her fantail, showering the deck with shrapnel. The men are deafened by the roar of their own guns and the thump-thump of Japanese shells landing nearby. Then, the cry from the lookout, "Tally-ho! Bandits, 9 o'clock, Angels 0. They are Japanese Zeke fighters as 6M0s, but they aren't lining up for a strafing run. They are in a steep, purposeful dive. This is not a conventional attack. It is the Shikishima Squadron, the first official kamikaze attack of the war. Sound, the unmistakable piercing scream of a diving aircraft. The gunners on the St. Lo traverse, desperately trying to catch the lead plane. Tracers fill the sky, a web of red lines trying to swat the Zero, but it is too fast. 8:51 a.m. The Zero, trailing smoke, does not pull up. It slams into the St. Louis flight deck at a 40-degree angle. The impact is catastrophic. The plane's 550-pound bomb penetrates the thin deck and explodes in the hangar bay below. This is where the ship is most vulnerable. The hangar is packed with rearming aircraft, full of aviation fuel and high-explosive bombs. A secondary explosion, far greater than the first, rips the St. Louis apart from the inside. A column of fire and black smoke erupts, punching the central aircraft elevator 300 feet into the air. The ship is instantly transformed into an inferno. On the bridge of the Fanshawe Bay, Admiral Sprague watches in horror. "My God," he whispers. "They're diving on the carriers." Fires rage on the Kalinin Bay and the Kitcon Bay as they, too, are hit by the diving Zeros, though they manage to control the damage. The battle has now become a three-dimensional hell. Taffy 3 is simultaneously fighting a surface action against battleships they cannot harm, and an air action against men who are determined to die. Music shifts to a more tragic grinding theme. Meanwhile, the Gambier Bay is dying. 8:45 a.m. The last carrier in the line is dead in the water. The Japanese cruisers Haguro and Tone are circling her like sharks, firing at point-blank range less than 4,000 yards. It is an execution. 8-inch shells punch through her unarmored hull again and again. Captain Vugue gives the order, "Abandon ship." Men stream over the side as the ship lists heavily to port. At 9:07 a.m., the USS Gambier Bay rolls over and sinks. She is the first and only U.S. carrier to be sunk by naval gunfire in the entire war. On the other side of the battle, a lone, mangled shape is still moving. Sound, limping engines, single gun firing, 8:40 a.m., the USS Johnston. Commander Ernest Evans is still alive, though barely. He has lost his ship. He has lost his power. He has lost his bridge. He is standing at the AFCON, steering what's left of his destroyer with a manual rudder. 2 of his 3 5-inch guns are destroyed. But the Kalinin Bay is under heavy fire from a squadron of Japanese destroyers. Evans sees it. His ship is a floating wreck, but it is still a warship. "Commence firing on the destroyer squadron," he orders, his voice a rasp. The Johnston's single remaining forward gun barks. The crew, working knee-deep in water and surrounded by bodies, fires 12 rounds. The Japanese destroyer captain, seeing this ghost ship still firing, still attacking, is stunned. The Japanese squadron hesitates, then launches a spread of long lance torpedoes. The Johnston is too slow to move. Several torpedoes strike at midships. The destroyer is broken in half. "Abandon ship," Evans orders. He and his surviving crew go into the water. Evans, severely wounded, waves them off, refusing help. He is last seen drifting toward the Japanese fleet. He will not survive. For his actions for charging alone, Ernest Evans will be awarded the Medal of Honor. By 9:20 a.m., Sprague's situation is beyond hopeless. The St. Louis is a pillar of smoke. The Gambier Bay is at the bottom of the sea. The Hole and Samuel B. Roberts are gone. The Johnston is sinking. The Heermann is badly damaged. Sprague has one card left to play, the rain. He steers his remaining battered carriers into another squall. Aboard the Yamato, Admiral Kurita is staring at his tactical plot. His admirals are exultant. The enemy carriers are right there. The Kumam is sinking. The Kumano is damaged, but the American force is annihilated. Lady Gulf is undefended. "All ships," Kurita orders, "reform. Steer north." Music stops abruptly, replaced by a low, confused rumble. 9:11 a.m. Aboard the bridge of the Yamato. The order is met with stunned silence. "North?" a staff officer asks. "Admiral ... Lady is south." Kurita is looking at the reports. He has been under relentless suicidal air attack for almost 3 hours. He believes he is fighting Halsey's entire Third Fleet. These baby flat tops have fought with a ferocity he cannot comprehend. His ships are low on fuel, his communications are a mess. He has reports of another American fleet to the north. These Americans, they are not running, they are attacking. The charge of the tin cans, the non-stop air assault from planes with no bombs, it has broken his nerve. He believes he has fallen into a trap. He looks at the smoke from the burning St. Lo and Gambier Bay. He has won. He must consolidate his victory and withdraw. Steer north, he repeats. We will retire through the San Bernardino Strait. Aboard the Fanshawe Bay, hidden in the rain, Admiral Sprague's radar operator shouts, "Sir, the enemy. They're turning." "What? They're turning away, sir. They're leaving." Clifton Sprague, his hands shaking, lowers his binoculars. He cannot believe it. He looks at the wreckage of his task unit. "God damn it, boys," he says to his staff, his voice thick. They're getting away. 9:30 a.m., the Philippine Sea. The thunder of the 18-inch guns has faded. The horizon to the north, where Kurita's fleet is disappearing, is empty. All that remains is the smoke, the oil, and the debris. The radio, which for 3 hours had been a cacophony of screams, orders, and explosions, is now filled with a new, more terrible sound, the quiet, methodical roll calls. USS Johnston. This is Fanshawe Bay, do you read? Silence. USS Hull. This is Fanshawe Bay, over. Silence. USS Samuel B. Roberts. Come in, Roberts. Nothing. The sea is a graveyard. Aboard the surviving carriers, men stand on the flight decks, staring at the columns of smoke on the horizon. One of those columns is American. Sound, crumpled metal groaning, water rushing, 10:10 a.m. The USS St. Lo is finished. The fires have reached her torpedo magazine. Her captain, Francis Jane McKenna, has given the order to abandon ship. The vessel is a blazing wreck. As the last survivors jump clear, a final massive detonation tears the carrier in two. At 10:11 a.m., the St. Lo vanishes beneath the waves, taking 114 men with her. For the next several hours, the remaining ships of Taffy 3, themselves badly damaged, begin the grim task of rescue. They pull men from the water, men coated in thick, black fuel oil, many blinded, burned, or missing limbs. In the water, the survivors of the Gambier Bay, Hull, Roberts, and Johnston huddle together. They have been floating for hours, watching the battle's end. They watch Kurita's fleet, the fleet that sank them, turn and steam away. They are confused. They believe they have been part of a total, catastrophic defeat. A pilot from the St. Lo, bobbing in his life vest, is pulled aboard a rescue boat. "Did we get him?" he asks. "Kid," the rescuer says, "you're alive. That's all that matters." Aboard the Fanshawe Bay, Admiral Sprague receives the first damage reports. Gambier Bay sunk, St. Lo sunk. Johnston sunk, Hull sunk, Samuel B. Roberts sunk. Kalinin Bay, heavily damaged. Fanshawe Bay, damaged. Over 1,500 men are dead or missing. It is a butcher's bill that feels like a defeat. Music, a low reflective tone. But then, the other reports come in. The reports from the pilots. Viper 2-1. Confirmed direct hit on Chikuma-class cruiser. Ship is burning, dead in the water. Avenger lead. We scored a torpedo hit on the Kumano. Her bow is gone. Wildcat 7. We strafed the bridge of the Yamato. Repeat, Yamato. She turned away. The Japanese, it turns out, paid a price. The cruiser Kikuma is scuttled, too damaged to proceed. The Chikai is so badly mauled by the 5-inch guns of the Roberts and the bombs of the Avengers that she, too, is scuttled. The Kumano is out of the war. The Suzuya is sunk. Kurita's fleet, which had entered the battle with 4 battleships and 8 cruisers, is limping home, having lost 3 of its best heavy cruisers. With a 4th crippled, they had been turned back. Not by Bull Halsey's battleships, not by the main fleet. They were turned back by 6 baby flattops, 3 destroyers, and 4 destroyer escorts. In the ready rooms of the White Plains and Kitcon Bay, pilots' boys of 19 and 20 sit in stunned silence. adrenaline draining away, replaced by crushing fatigue. They have flown 4, 5, some even 6 sorties. They have flown planes with empty guns, making mock runs to draw fire. They have attacked the Yamato with depth charges. They have done the impossible. On the bridge of the Fanshui Bay, Admiral Clifton Ziggy Sprague finally allows himself to sit. A signalman hands him a message from Admiral Thomas Kincaid, commander of the 7th Fleet, who has been listening to Taffy 3's desperate calls all morning. The message is simple. The valor and gallantry of your task unit is an inspiration to you us all, Sprague reads it. He looks at the oil slicks that mark the graves of his ships. He thinks of Ernest Evans and Robert Copeland. He is the commander of a task unit that has just lost 5 ships and suffered 23% casualties. But he has saved the invasion of the Philippines. He has saved the 7th Fleet from annihilation. The Japanese admirals had laughed at the baby flat tops. They mocked the tin cans, but they did not laugh as they steamed north. Their decks littered with American machine gun casings, their fleet broken, their primary objective, the invasion fleet at Leyte, untouched. The legend of Taffy 3 is born.